Blackberry jam is such a classic jam. I can remember my mom sending us out to pick wild blackberries and us bringing them home for her to can up, and then we'd eat them on the fresh homemade bread. It was super great. And so for me, this recipe kind of touches some memories. There's not actually very many steps to this. It's a pretty easy recipe. The first thing I need to do is mash 9 cups of berries. And I want it to be 9 cups after it's been mashed. Because these were frozen berries, it'll be about the same. But if it was fresh berries, it would be more like 18 cups, ends up doing 9 cups a lot of times. I like using the blender because I like mine to be nice and smooth, but you could just mash them if you wanted to. Now I'll add all of my mashed or pureed berries into a big pot. Whenever I use a blender, I like to use a silicone spatula because I feel like otherwise a lot of the fruit ends up getting stuck inside the blender. And then I add my 6 cups of sugar and my 1/2 teaspoon of butter, and that just helps to keep some of the foam down. I'll then rapidly bring this up to the gelling point, which is 220 degrees minus 2 degrees for every 1,000 feet above sea level. So since I'm at 1,200 feet, it would be 218 degrees for me. The blackberry jam has gradually gotten thicker, and it does splutter out more at this point. So you have to be very careful not to get burned. And I'm keeping track of the temperature. I'm up to 217. It always seems like it takes such a long time to get to that gelling point. Just those last couple degrees take so long. Right now I've been hanging out at 216, 217 for about 5 minutes. And it has finally gotten to that point where it's super thick and it gets really, really bubbly. It's almost like you can see when it hits that gelling point. And so we're there now, and I'll take it off the heat. Now I'll add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. If I was to add this before I cooked the jam, then it would just cook out that vanilla flavor. So if I do it at this point, then it's perfect. And it's kind of nice because it kind of like mellows that cooked berry flavor a little bit. I'll then fill up my pint-sized jars up to 1/4 of an inch of headspace, which is the space from the top of the food to the top of the jar. And you'll see that this jam is just really thick now, and that's what happens when you get it up to that gelling point. There's pluses and minuses about using the pectin versus not using the pectin. I have to admit, I tend to use it more than I don't. And I think it's because it just goes so much faster. And slightly less of a cooked taste to the berries. But it is really nice to have the option of making jam without having the pectin. This is always about the time that I go with my spatula because so much is stuck on the sides. If I was to stop at this point, I would lose out probably on almost a whole jar worth. I'll then use a clean damp cloth to wipe off the rim of my jars, and that's just to make it so that if any of the jam got on the edge, that it won't interfere with the seal. And then I put my lids and rings on until they're fingertip tight. Now I'll process these in the boiling water bath for 15 minutes if I'm at sea level. I'm at 1,200 feet, so I'll go for 20, but I won't start my timer until after it comes to a full boil. Now that my timer's gone off, I'll turn off the heat, remove the lid, and let it cool for 5 minutes. I'll then remove the jars from the canner and place them on a heat-resistant surface about 1 to 2 inches apart, and that's just so that they can cool down quickly. I'll let them sit there for 24 hours to get a really good seal. After that point, I'll remove the ring, wash them with hot soapy water, store them in a cool, dry, dark location, and use them in the next 1 to 3 years. I can tell that they have a good seal if the center of the lid has depressed down. If for some reason it didn't, I'll just store it in my refrigerator and use it right away. For the very important part now, the taste test. One of the biggest things with the pectin-free jams is just how thick it is. And so you know that you did the gelling point right if it is very well set, and it's good. Oh, it tastes so good. It's like this concentrated blackberry flavor, probably because we took all the water out of it with all that cooking down, right? And then it's got that vanilla that just kind of is in the background there, holding it all together. It's good. This is a great way to do it if you're gonna do pectin-free jam.